For years, this man believed he was living in a happy marriage. His wife was his partner, his confidant, his best friend, or at least that's what he thought. But while he saw her as his wife, she saw him as a joke. Her friends mocked him, and his wife just laughed and encouraged their insults. He swallowed his pride, ignored the stares, and pretended it didn't bother him. But the truth always finds a way to come to light. One message, one cruel laugh, and everything fell apart. Now, standing before the abyss, he saw no other way out but the only one left: divorce. I'm 44 years old and currently divorcing my wife, Lisa, 39, after 6 years of marriage. She allowed her friends to disrespect me. They mocked me, and she watched it all unfold. Or worse, she enjoyed it. Isn't that reason enough for a separation? Apparently, everyone around me criticized me, calling me crazy and impulsive for going this far over something so insignificant. Maybe to them, it was trivial, but my self-respect means too much to me. Lisa had a very close-knit group of friends from college. From the start, I could tell they didn't like me, but I brushed it off. Who cares what my wife's friends think? They were never important to me. However, from the first time she introduced me to them, I felt a cold atmosphere. They tried to be polite, but it was easy to see the act behind their smiles. The awkward silences and sideways glances said it all. At first, I thought I was overreacting or that maybe they just needed time to warm up to me. But those subtle signs spoke loud and clear I wasn't welcome. They interrupted me mid-conversation and steered the topic away from whatever I was saying. If I made a joke, I was met with disapproving looks and mocking smirks. They made inside jokes behind my back, jokes Lisa never bothered to explain to me. One time, one of them asked Lisa directly, "How did you end up with him?" Lisa simply laughed and said, "Over time, you just get used to him," as if I were some kind of fungus. I asked her what that meant, but they all changed the subject. The worst part? She never defended me. Not even once. Later, when I confronted Lisa about it, she brushed it off, saying it was all just jokes. Over time, I stopped accompanying her to gatherings with her friends, but sometimes they came to our house, and I couldn't avoid them. Even though I barely spoke to them, their presence lingered in my mind. Many times, I asked Lisa why her friends were so cold toward me. She usually dodged the question, but one time, she admitted that her friends thought she deserved someone better than me. They said I was too old for her, that she was too young and attractive for me. On top of that, I didn't make much money. She told me that her friends saw her as an intelligent and confident woman, and they expected her to marry someone wealthy or with more status. Her words made me wonder why she had married me in the first place, or if she secretly felt the same way. She reassured me that she married me for love, that she was happy and content with me. If we removed her friends from the equation, our marriage was amazing. We were both busy with work. We cooked and cleaned together on weekends. We spent Sundays alone or went out. We didn't have major fights, except for the issues that arose because of her friends. It seemed like she became a different person when she was with them. Normally, she was kind and affectionate, but around them, she turned combative and aggressive. Maybe she was just trying to fit in. But the final straw was the WhatsApp group. About 5 months ago, her laptop broke, and she used mine for a while. She logged into WhatsApp on my computer and forgot to log out. A few days later, I opened the app and realized it was her account. I was about to close it when messages started flooding in, hundreds of them. There was no way to stop the synchronization. I was about to exit when I saw my name mentioned multiple times in a group chat. Curiosity got the best of me, so I opened the conversation. It was worse than I ever imagined. Not only did she tolerate the mockery, she enjoyed it. A friend named Molly was the worst of all. She had married a rich tech guy a year ago and constantly bragged about money, trips, and gifts. Her husband was also attractive. She frequently sent pictures of the two of them in the group and then tagged Lisa, asking what I had given her for her birthday or where I was taking her on vacation. That was painful enough, but Lisa's response was even more devastating. One of her friends said, "I swear, sometimes I wonder what you were thinking when you decided to marry him." And Lisa responded, "I wonder that too." Then someone commented, "He's so boring. He doesn't even buy you flowers." She laughed or agreed with the comments. They encouraged each other, laughing behind my back as if I were an innocent fool. In fact, one of them suggested she find someone more exciting outside of the marriage. Lisa's response was, "You can bet on it." I felt disgusted. I was trembling. It wasn't just malicious gossip. It was painful. I exported the entire conversation to my email and saved it on my laptop. I didn't explode. I just stayed there, processing it all. It was a shock. The woman I loved, with whom I had built a life, had been ridiculing me for years. And I was a fool for thinking we had a wonderful marriage. I checked her inbox, but I didn't find anything else. There was nothing compromising in her chat with her mom either. When she came home, I confronted her. She froze and then panicked, asking how I'd found out about everything. I told her she had forgotten to log out on my computer. She tried to make me believe that I had invaded her privacy by reading the messages. She accused me as if that were the real problem, as if the violation of privacy was the crime here, not the total mockery of our marriage. I answered her clearly, "You didn't log out, and frankly, I'm glad you didn't. At least now I know the truth about what you think of me." She tried to defend herself, saying she didn't see anything wrong with me. She challenged me to show proof that she had spoken badly of me. And yes, maybe she didn't say it directly, but she didn't do anything to stop them either. The argument exploded. I was really furious. She kept justifying herself, saying her friends were just being funny and that they mocked everyone. I wasn't the exception. I replied, "I don't care what they do or say. You're my wife. You should have defended me. But instead, you enjoyed the insults they made about me." She tried to justify herself, to justify her friends, but I was very clear, either them or me. I demanded that she break off the friendship with them immediately, over the phone and in front of me, or it would all end. She hesitated. She really hesitated. She tried to postpone it. "Oh, love, they're just joking. You're taking it too seriously." I said, "All right, you've made your decision. Now I make mine. It's over." She panicked. "Do you really want to end things over a few messages? Over something so insignificant?" It's not about messages or trivial reasons. It's about self-respect. As my wife, it was your duty to protect my dignity, and you failed. I was still trying to be understanding, giving her the chance to do the right thing. All she had to do was cut those friendships off. What purpose do people like that serve in your life, who only belittle you and make you feel insignificant? She didn't understand. She apologized on their behalf and promised she would control them next time. I told her, "That's not enough. I don't need apologies. I want you to cut those friendships now. If you can't do it, then..." After much discussion, several fights, and yelling, she finally firmly said she couldn't cut those friendships. They had been in her life before I was, and she couldn't lose them because of me. I grabbed my jacket and said, "All right, then I can't live with you." End of the conversation. She tried to stop me, but I walked out furiously. In the following days, I told her we would have to start living separately. Either she moved out, or I would. She resisted for a while, but when I didn't give in, she responded, "Think again. I'm way above you. You might not get lucky twice." I laughed at her words. She was convinced that once I said yes to divorce, I wouldn't change my mind, even if I begged. It wouldn't make any difference. I let out a bitter laugh and thought to myself, all right. She packed her things and left. We're going through the separation period before proceeding with the divorce. We have a 6-month waiting period, and it's killing me. I'm counting the days until it's over. We split the assets 50-50, but the house was put up for sale. Fortunately, we don't have children, so there's no custody battle. Still, everything is a mess. On top of that, everyone around me calls me impulsive and overly sensitive. They minimize my feelings by saying I'm exaggerating and that everything could have been solved with couple therapy. Therapy? Update: the divorce is almost finalized. However, the waiting period was traumatic. She pretended that I was the one losing and that she was living her best life. She subtly tried to manipulate me using my parents and friends. Look, I'm a private person. I don't like to make my life public. I didn't tell everyone I was getting divorced. She, on the other hand, deliberately spread the news. She told my parents and friends, feeding them a distorted version of the truth. She painted me as a paranoid husband who was spying and turning harmless jokes between friends into something exaggerated. My father even came to talk to me to make me see the reality. He sat with me and explained that women often rely on their group of friends as a safety net, a space to vent, and that I shouldn't feel insecure about it. He said I was acting impulsively and throwing away my marriage over what he thought were just meaningless rumors. I let him talk, and without saying a word, I opened my laptop and showed him the messages. The moment he started reading, his expression changed. He was left speechless. He saw with his own eyes that these weren't just light-hearted jokes, but blatant mockery. Total disrespect. Pure and unfiltered contempt. Lisa not only allowed it, but actively encouraged it. After a long pause, my father said, "Now I understand." He didn't apologize directly, but calmly patted me on the shoulder and said, "Do what you need to do, son." It made me realize that my silence on the matter had made me the villain. Now I understood why everyone called me impulsive. When she told everyone about our divorce, my parents and some close friends tried to talk to me, but I didn't listen. So, most people believed her version, naturally. Anyway, I managed to sell the house at a great price, and we divided the assets evenly. To my surprise, she didn't argue about that with me. Her pride wouldn't allow it. I felt more than satisfied with her attitude, because I just wanted everything to be over as soon as possible. She moved to a friend's house and wasted no time in creating the image of a carefree and exciting life on social media. Her posts were filled with photos and videos of parties, trips, and her best life. She knew exactly what she was doing. I wanted her to see it. I wanted her to feel like she had lost something irreplaceable. I wanted to make her feel jealous. But instead, I moved on. I redirected my energy into rebuilding myself. I started going to the gym and lost weight, finally prioritizing my health. I also started a side business that I had been postponing for years. Without the toxic influences holding me back, today I'm more focused and productive than ever. I spend my days working and pushing myself. Going to the gym and coming home to work on my business is incredibly rewarding. She couldn't stand seeing that I was doing well without her, and started meddling in my life again. In fact, Lisa and I were in the middle of an in vitro fertilization process before everything fell apart. Given the circumstances, I gave up on the process, making it clear that I no longer wanted to have a child with her. Simple and fair, right? No, she didn't take it well at all. She had this distorted demand that I should let her have my child despite the separation. What the hell? I said no. Any sensible person would understand, but she believed she had a right to it. She started insisting, first with messages, long paragraphs, and emotional pleas. Then came the calls. I hadn't blocked her yet, thinking we might need to communicate for the divorce. And up until then, she had been cooperative. When I ignored the messages and calls, she showed up at my door. She was disheveled, with puffy eyes from crying, very different from the glamorous life she portrayed on Instagram. She begged me, "Please, this is all I ever wanted. You don't even need to be involved. Just let me have this baby. I'll raise it alone. You won't have to do anything." I told her I was relieved we didn't have children together. The separation would have been so much harder, but this way it was easier. And now she wanted to complicate it by having my child. I wouldn't allow it. She insisted, but I told her firmly, "It's over. I don't want any more connection with you, now or in the future." She clung to my sleeves, tears streaming down her face, pleading, "I know we didn't work, but this is different. It's my dream. I've always wanted to be a mother. Please, don't take this away from me." She was desperate, but I stood firm and replied, "You're asking me to bring a child into a broken marriage. I won't do it. I refuse to have a child that ties me to you forever." She cried even more intensely, making all kinds of unrealistic promises, saying she would sign anything I wanted, no child support, no involvement. I wouldn't even have to see the child. I shook my head. My decision was final. There was nothing more to discuss. She stared at me for a long moment, searching for some sign of compassion on my face. I stayed firm, and eventually she left, wiping her tears. A few days later, her parents contacted me with the same pleas. They assured me that I would have no responsibility for the child, that she would sign an official document stating she wouldn't ask for child support. But my response remained the same. Absolutely not. I didn't want any connection with her, let alone through a child. That was the final stretch before the divorce was finalized. I could see the finish line, and I was counting the days. Update. It's been 2 years since my last post, and life has been nothing short of incredible and transformative. After everything that happened, I threw myself into my business, and it was an overwhelming success. What started as a side job became a solid and thriving business. I expanded it beyond my expectations and now run it full-time. I quit my job a year ago, and I haven't looked back. I created a website, invested in marketing, and grew my customer base. The financial stability and independence I have now are things I never imagined I'd achieve so soon, and it's amazing. Good things happen when you remove negative people from your life. Her friends despised me. She thought I was beneath her. Look at me now. Well, she's been watching everything. I never blocked her on social media, but I don't follow her either. I'm sure she visits my profile from time to time because I see her likes on my posts about marketing campaigns or major achievements. I don't post much, but when I do, it's about my business accomplishments or some great vacations. Nothing frivolous. I recently spoke with a mutual friend, and she told me that Lisa talks about me more times than she'd like to admit. The same woman who, with arrogance, told me I would never find anyone like her, and that I was lucky to have her, is now quietly spying on every move I make. During the waiting period, and even a few months after the divorce, she kept posting about her fun, colorful social life. But over time, everything changed. Her life hasn't been perfect. She enjoyed her carefree life for a while, but eventually, she started feeling lonely. After all, her friends got engaged, married, and began to prioritize their personal lives. The friends she moved in with after the divorce also got engaged and asked Lisa to leave her home. She chose them over me, and in the end, she was abandoned by her supposed best friends. Her friends disappeared. Now, instead, she's been posting cryptic stories about fake friends and how one bad apple can ruin the whole basket. The best part was when a mutual friend mentioned to Lisa that I was dating another woman. It's true, I found love again. She's my business partner, an intelligent, independent, and kind woman with her own ambitions and determination. We met through work, and it started as a professional relationship, naturally evolving into something deep and meaningful. She has nothing to do with Lisa, and that's the best part. No mind games, no belittling, no cruel laughter at my expense. She respects me, supports me, and, most importantly, values me for who I am, not for what I can offer or how I compare to someone else's rich husband. When Lisa found out, she lost it. She showed up at my work unannounced, asking to talk to me. She looked different, desperate, less put together, and full of regret. She started by saying, "I'm sorry." It was the first time she had ever said those words, and she seemed sincere. She admitted that it was a mistake to prioritize her friends over me. She felt guilty and regretful. She told me everything. How? In the end, her friends became too involved in their own lives. Two of them already had children and lost contact. Another moved because of her husband's job. The group dispersed. That was the main reason she wanted to have children, because her friends were already having them, and she didn't want to feel left out. She confessed that she just wanted to fit in with the girl group. These girls were the most popular in the entire university. Lisa wanted to be part of that group, so she did everything she could to fit in and never oppose them. She told me, "I never wanted to hurt you, and I didn't really mean what I said in the group. I was just trying to fit in to be okay with them." I replied, "Exactly. You care more about their opinion than my feelings. You made your choice, and I made mine. We're both living with them." She wiped her tears and tried to pretend to be enthusiastic. "I'm happy for your success. You're doing really well. I follow your business updates. Also, you look younger and better." I didn't respond, just nodded with a half smile. Shyly, she asked, "Now that I've cut ties with all my friends, do we have a chance?" I laughed at her question. She didn't cut ties with her friends. They pushed her away, and when she had no one left, she came to me like I was her last option. I gave a mischievous smile and said, "My girlfriend, you know about her, right?" She pretended to be surprised and whispered, "You've known her for a few months. It shouldn't be hard to get rid of her." I replied that, in fact, it would be hard. Do you know why? Because I love her. She's an amazing woman. I wish I could say the same about you. She wasn't just telling me that she had lost everything. A happy married life, the chance to be a mother. Even the men she tried to date after me disappointed her. She confessed that none of them were really interested in a relationship, and that the few who were financially successful didn't treat her with the kindness and respect she wanted. Her eyes reflected regret for losing the only real thing she had ever had, for letting go of the only person who ever truly loved her, all for people who never cared about her. But I felt nothing. No bitterness, no anger, just peace. I said goodbye, and it was final. I closed the door forever. She bet I would crawl back. Look who's crawling now. This brings us to the end of this story. The best revenge is living your best life. And I'm so glad the author is living theirs. I don't think they're crazy or acted impulsively in leaving a marriage where they were constantly disrespected by their wife and her friends. A relationship should be a partnership, not a battlefield. And there's a limit to what one person can and should tolerate. It was his ex-wife who chose this, and now she has to face the consequences of her actions. What do you think of this story? What advice would you give the author? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, show your support for the channel by leaving a like. And thanks so much to everyone for watching until the end.